everybody. Welcome to the wheelhouse of the Apollo. Jeff, my friend, how are you?
I'm doing good, Phil. How are you?
I'll tell you what, friend doesn't say it all. How long have we been doing stuff like this? 35 years?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. You used to babysit my kids.
And like we were just talking about, I met you when I was a young kid back in the early 90s working on the local boats.
That's crazy. Even before that, you were calling 976 Tuna.
When I was a kid.
You didn't even know me, right?
Guilty as charged, I did. Yeah.
Your mom thought you were calling some other kind of line.
Yeah, I remember she got the phone bill once when I was a kid. I was calling 976 and hitting the different buttons for long-range reports and local reports. My mom got the phone bill and came in and accused me of calling porn numbers.
That's too funny. You're not the only guy, man, I've heard that from,
Yeah.
so it's too much. What an extraordinary trip we had on the Apollo, man. It was good.
We had a great trip, and as always, fun fishing with you. Brings back a lot of memories, and we're blessed with weather and good fishing, so it kind of came together. Plus, we had a great group of guys, which always makes it fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We were driving around there for a little while, however, at the beginning of the trip, you and I are like, oh, you know how that is. Every single trip is different.
We started on the bank in the morning and saw a very, very poor sign, very little sign on what we were looking for, and just kind of took off looking. And after me and you solved most of the world's problems,
we did too.
We stumbled into a really nice school yesterday. That stuff floated up pretty good in the afternoon, and turned out we got on some what was pretty good volume. Turned out to be pretty good volume of fish, most we've seen here lately, anyways.
Yeah, for sure. And man, you had the glasses up to your eyes, and you just kept repeating, "There's a lot of fish here. Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of fish."
The guys were excited, pointing out the jumpers, and let me get to the meat.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's focus in on, because a lot of guys are going to be watching this looking for current info. What's the best way to get a bite when you're fly lining, or let's put it this way: when you're on this daytime fish, fly lining is the best way, correct?
It has been lately, like this fishing that's been going on the bank, or the past month and a half or so. We've been doing a lot of fishing on the anchor on Cortez Bank, Tanner Bank. That stuff is traditionally fly line.
Yeah,
it's kind of been like 25-30 pound test with a fluorocarbon top shot and a small ring circle hook.
Is that small hook necessary? It seems like it is.
Sometimes, I mean, you have to. I think it is. You have to, adjust accordingly, size of hook to size of bait, and especially when they're being finicky. I believe in the fluorocarbon. But yesterday, I don't think it made a whole lot of difference. That was biting fish, so
we'd have a dozen going at a time, right?
Yeah, we kept 10 to 12 going there for quite a while yesterday. It was kind of pandemonium, but yeah, it was fun fishing. But the crews of the boats, whatever boat you're on, or this boat, usually when we give a seminar in the galley, get everybody on the same page of what's going on, what we're seeing the last couple days. But lately, it's been like 25-30 pound test fly line. And then last night we fished that fish in the dark, and that's usually, on the knife jigs, the heavier jigs. And that all depends too, size of jig to what the fish are eating and doing and your conditions. Like last night was kind of breezy, as you saw. It was really hard for guys to get down. So you almost have to fish the heavier jigs because some of the guys up the side have too much angle on their line. They're not getting down to the fish.
You want to be vertical, kind of, don't you?
You want to be vertical as best you can, especially when we're marking that stuff under the boat. You want to be able to bomb a jig right through them. Yeah.
And to get bit on the jig, if you tell me, I hear you come on the PA and say 300 feet, do I drop a little deeper than that?
I would, yeah. Usually, like if it's like 240, we go down to about 300 feet and wind through them. I want to fall that jig through them and wind it back up through them.
And you were adamant about heavy tackle.
Well, yeah, heavy tackle at night. Those fish are biting. They're down that deep, but they're kind of you're getting more of a reaction bite out of them. I don't think line size matters, and plus, a lot of times you always have that one guy who'll come out and drop down 60 pound or 40 pound or something, and then you get hung up on one fish. Because a lot of times this is real fast paced fishing where you get on a school, it bites, it doesn't bite, or sometimes if it comes back around on you. Usually when we see it spread out on the meter and it comes back around on us, it's you start getting bites. But the last couple nights, unless there was a few guys that got on like really good schools, and it'll stick with the boat. Some nights it's not like that. You'll get a quick shot at it. Maybe you'll stop on a smaller school, pick one or two fish off of it, go on to the next one.
So if you
If you
hang
get a
a
guy
fish,
on light line, you know, then you get stuck on it for, you know, an hour or something while a guy's pulling on a fish on light line. And you may, a lot of these nights, you may only have an hour or a 2-hour window of bite time. You know, like a lot of nights, seems like it bites from about 9 to 11 or something like that. Sometimes it bites in the early morning hours. But whatever, if you have that window, you want to try and capitalize on it as best you can. You don't want to get stuck on one fish.
yeah, no, and then that ruins everybody else's opportunity. That's the point, right?
Ruins everybody's opportunity.
Yeah. Those daytime fish, when we talk fly line and you're saying, hey, I'm seeing it at 240, hopefully it'll come up. Is that a time to drop a sinker rig
In the
or to try
daytime?
that? Yeah.
Yeah, like yesterday, you know, a lot of times when we see this stuff on the machines, you could really tell, so to speak, the mode that the fish are in. A lot of times we'll see these schools where they're really balled up real tight.
Yeah.
And you almost can't like make out individual fish. You could just, that usually
Doesn't bite.
through experience is not biting fish.
Yeah. When it spreads
if
out.
If you can
like
get
that.
it to transfer from the sonar to the up and down, and it's usually higher up in the water column, you get to spread out. It's more typically biting fish.
That's when it's going to bite.
That's when it's going to bite.
That's crazy.
Now,
man.
like that school this morning we stopped on, that stuff was all down at like 30 fathom, but we sat on it, kind of built up on us.
Yeah.
Started to spread out a little bit. Obviously tough to get a bite this morning. Could be time of day related. Like yesterday, that stuff floated in the afternoon. You saw the amount of bait that was there last night. That stuff could be, you know, feeding in that area all night long, and it just starts to float up at a certain time of day. You know, like that stuff could very well bite this afternoon. You know? But anyways, yeah, just adjust. You know, and whoever's running a boat, it doesn't have to be this boat. Any boat you're on, you know, the crew will be talking to you. Like guys will kind of be calling out what they're seeing. Like, you know, hey guys, try a sinker rig. A lot of times, you know, everybody does. A lot of guys won't do it. One guy will do it, and he gets a bite. Like, I just told you that.
Yeah.
You know, you can kind of see, based on through experience of what you're seeing on the machines, how the fish are going to react and what, you know, what may happen. So.
Do you have a theory? I'm just curious. Like you see that fish and it's in a tight ball, like you said, and then when it kind of spreads out on the meter, you can see it spread out. Do you have a theory as to why it bites then, or
I don't know. I don't think anybody can figure this bluefin out. They're kind of on their own schedule, whatever that may be. Time of year, moon phase, time of day. I mean, you've been doing this as long as I have or longer, and you know you've seen it. Like sometimes you'll see it up everywhere, it won't bite. Maybe it's on small bait, and it's hard to get it to transition over to sardine or jigs. You know, it kind of gets keyed in on whatever it's feeding on. And time of day, you know, I don't know. I wish I could figure it out.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's here today, gone tomorrow.
A lot of guys ask me this question all the time. I'll ask you, full moon, does it always have an adverse effect on the bite? It seems like we've seen some downturns.
It seems like it this year. I don't know.
Yeah, right?
Full moon's been kind of like, seems like it's been bringing the weather and tougher fishing.
Yeah.
So seems like things are on the upswing right now. So hopefully we see more of what we saw yesterday, you know, in the days to come. So.
Speaking of weather, man, it's been a breezy freaking summer, hasn't it? We're into the fall summer now, but man.
Yeah, very breezy this year. We got kind of blessed with this trip.
Yeah, totally.
You know, our course line home, we got the little bit of breeze we have behind us. So, you know, I don't know. We'll see what the fall brings. Be nice to see some yellowfin tuna come up the beach, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, where'd those things? They ran off with my albacore?
Yeah, they ran off with the albacore. You can start predicting that, too.
I'm not going to jinx the yellowfin tuna. I'll stay out of that mess. I've already effed up the albacore bite. So
well, one of these days you'll be right. If you guess enough times, you'll hit.
Yeah, I just have to live long enough.
Yeah, me too. I hope we see him again. It would be nice for this whole industry if we had a nice change of pace. Something that bites more during business hours.
Yeah.
This nighttime stuff, it really
oh my God.
Can grind your crew into fine powder.
I don't know how you guys do it.
It's very tough.
I really don't.
You know,
it's hard enough when you're not fishing at night. You know, you're still working your asses off all day long, and then you throw that on top of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Coffee.
Yeah, I know, lots of coffee. Speaking of your crew, man, those guys, I saw some messes down there. 6-8 fish. They get in there. They work it out. Everybody gets their fish. Amazing work.
Well, we got a pretty good team of guys here this year. We're really stoked with the crew, you know. So pretty much everybody on the boat all has come from a long range background. You know, Ryan, Jordan, Oscar's many years on long range boats. So they have a lot of experience in that kind of stuff. And sometimes it's pretty impressive. We get those big tangles to watch them work it out. But yeah, you do your best, save what we can. It doesn't always work out, but these guys have a good attitude, and yeah, pretty stoked with them.
If you're new to sport fishing, I heard you say it's not rocket science. Follow your fish. Keep the fish in front of you. Can't really emphasize that enough, can you?
Keep your fish in front of you. You know, it's a guy's old adage. Say it all the time: no angles, no tangles. If your fish is going this way and you got another one coming this way, stay on top of it.
Right. Wind in your face, you're in the right place. What's that mean exactly?
So if we're fishing offshore most of the time here, this when we're, you know, not on the anchor, like offshore fishing, whichever direction we stop the boat, you're going to drift with the wind, right? So if your port side's facing the wind, you want the wind in your face, be on the port side. The boat's going to drift that way. Usually cast on the downwind corner and walk your way around. So, yeah, wind in your face, always.
You know, when we first pulled into those chippers, those fish that were chipping, a new word that I learned, I've never heard that one before. It's like just scatterfish. I saw a lot of smaller bluefin. We didn't catch any of those.
No, this was decent grade. This was
really nice.
I'd say our average fish was 30 to 40 pounds.
Absolutely.
And then obviously some bigger ones like this morning, and got a couple good ones last night in that 80, 90 pound class.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Sometimes what you see isn't always what you get.
Yeah, it was awesome. Tell us a little bit about the Apollo. You operate sometimes out of Seaforth, other times out of 22nd Street?
Sometimes out of 22nd Street. So I'm one of the co-owners of 22nd Street Landing. You know, I like to keep the boat up there in the winter. Excuse me.
Yeah, no problem.
Keep the boat up there in the winter time and do our maintenance. You know, a lot of my infrastructure's up there, so we, you know, kind of do our maintenance, our yearly maintenance, and our haul outs up north, and run spring trips. You know, May, June, and into the beginning of July. We bring the boat down to Seaforth right around the 4th of July, or a day or two after.
Yeah.
And we run our summer season down here, but you know, we're already booking trips for next year for springtime, and it's nice. A lot of my, you know, clientele that's been fishing me for years is up there. You know, that's where I pretty much, that's my backyard.
Yep.
So, you know, fishing the islands, San Nicolas, Santa Barbara, Clemente, Catalina. Try to capitalize on that spring fishing when we get our hands on some squid, hopefully some sea bass, although our last couple springs haven't been all that bitching. But yeah, we fish our spring up there, and obviously the boat has multi-day capability. So, you know, if that sea bass is biting good at the Channel Islands, that's always an option for us to go up there. We have the range to do that. And yeah, keep the boat up there, run our spring, and we run our summer down here.
One of the best decisions I made this year was I was going to do a 2-day trip in June out of 22nd. And Lori, I was talking to your wife, and she said, Jeff says that's a really good time of the year for a reverse 2.5 day. And I go, well, let's do it then. Man, that worked out so bitchin' on so many levels. I mean, one level is you got the whole day when you're traveling, so you get to really hang out with your group and bond and do that whole thing, talk to the crew, do that whole thing. But man, I mean, we had a whole night that night on that bluefin. Then we had the next night on that. We have all day. It was awesome.
Well, and the nice thing about that is the last few springs, you know, this bluefin is bit rather, you know, well in the early spring, at least at night. And that's not really our targeted species when we're fishing up there, but it's within range. We have that option, you know, like the islands were a little bit slower during the time of your trip.
Yeah.
Ryan ran the boat and made the decision to fish that tuna, and it paid off for you guys. You know, again, it breaks the season up, and it gives the clientele the option of fishing the boat to do something different. You know, like fishing that shallow water rockfish at San Nick, as you know, can be a lot of fun.
Oh, God.
Sea bass, halibut fishing the last few years has been pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of times we get those spring yellowtail bites on the squid, so which we did a little bit this year. We had a nice sample of that before we went to San Diego, but it just breaks the season up. It gives the guys an option to do something different, you know, and fish comfortably. And so, yeah, and the last couple of years had the option of, you know, catching tuna or spending a day at the island and going offshore at night, which we did on a few trips, and back and fish the island during the day. So you're almost like fishing around the clock.
Yeah, 100%.
So it is a good option. So
guys who are watching, some are new to the game, as I say, so they want to know, how is it that you find these fish? They've got tails, they swim around, you're looking at water temp, I know all that, you got intel coming in, but talk to us about the instruments that we see here. Just how do you use these things? How do they help you find the mother lode?
Well, sonar obviously being the most important piece of our equipment. We got a group of guys that we obviously work with, so we generally have boats out fishing all the time. Even when we're in, there's other guys out reporting. So you get information coming in all the time, and it's helpful to know where not to go as much as it is as to where to go.
Yeah, 100%.
So, read the water, look at the water charts, decipher your information. You get out there, and our sonar helps because we can sweep 500-600 feet, out in front of the boat and either side of the boat, so we're seeing what's around us as opposed to just what's under us. And obviously, like yesterday, you see eyeball fish, birds, you see breezers at times.
Good pair of gyros help.
Yeah, good expensive binoculars, but there's so many different things, like earlier this season you're catching yellowtail and fish on kelp, so you might, one particular time of the year you might be looking for kelps, you might be looking for tuna offshore, you might, it's constantly changing.
Yeah,
it's an evolution. So the sonar is our key piece of equipment, because we're looking for volume and not necessarily individual fish. So this thing, is giving us basically like an underwater radar. It's giving us a good picture of what's in front of us and what's around us, and if there's meat and volume of fish, that's what we're looking for. We can see that, and we can run it over.
Yeah, and you mentioned the oceanography yesterday. If I'm right, we popped out of that 66-degree water into that 67. It turned kind of blue, got really.
We went right over an edge, and you saw that fish was sitting just on the on the upper edge of that warmer water, that break, and it you go almost from like real generic water conditions, and then all of a sudden you see life. And look how quickly our day turned around.
Yeah, 100%.
We didn't have a fish on the boat till almost lunchtime or whenever we stopped, and then just like that, your whole trip's made.
Yeah,
and that can happen anytime you're out here doing this. You can turn your trip around in one stop.
Yeah, 100%. I don't like being a pain in the ass down in the galley, but I'm on the carnivore diet, so I walked up, and I said to Shad, "Hey, I don't want to be a pain." Man, he took such good care of me. Honestly, I skipped breakfast this morning because I'm so freaking full, and I've already heard what's going on this afternoon. Everybody's already had a big breakfast. Now we're going to have lunch, and then he's going to do a whole sashimi sushi thing on the way home, man.
We try to keep the food coming. Shad's great. He's actually a deckhand. Well, he actually is a cook, chef by trade.
Yeah.
He's a deckhand now, but he's kind of helping us out here, filling some gaps in the schedule between cooks. So he's great. He does a good job. Yeah, he's got some culinary background. So
you can see that, clearly see that. And he's also really good on deck, as are all your guys.
Yeah, he comes out and helps out, which is helpful to us, for sure.
Capabilities of the rig. Tell us about the rig, the dimensions of it, and what, how many day trip can I do a 5-day charter on here?
This boat does that, yes. Yeah. So the Apollo's got some history. Obviously, I'm not the first owner of the boat, but this boat has a Guadalupe Island permit and used to fish late summer into the fall Guadalupe Island, like 5 to 6 day trips with a ultra limited load. Unfortunately, with Guadalupe being closed, we lost our ability to do that. But primarily, I would say it's more suited for the 2 to 3 day trips. Yeah. That's kind of like the niche, I would say. But we're almost, not quite 100%, we're about 99% private charter.
Yeah.
If we have a gap in the schedule or in the calendar or a cancellation, we'll fill it with an open party through Seaforth or 22nd Street or whatever. But in any event, most of our trips, I would say, are anywhere in that 1.5 to 3 day range, and it's perfectly suited for that. I mean, we hold a large amount of fuel. There's really not another 65-foot boat like this. So this was built by Bill Poole, and if anybody knows the history of Bill Poole boats, it's basically aluminum structure, all built locally here, and most of the long range fleet are Bill Poole boats. So this would be like the same type of boat as the American Angler, the Royal Star, and there's a long list. The Rooster, they're all Bill Poole boats. This was the smallest one they built, and there's really not another 65-foot charter boat like it. Capability wise, so we have staterooms. We have 5 staterooms, private staterooms, as well as bunks. All air conditioned bunk room. We hold a large amount of fresh water. We hold a large amount of fuel. We hold a fair amount of bait. You know, we have a slammer below deck plus our deck tanks. So capability wise and room wise, it's kind of like a 65 footer on steroids. It's a really comfortable boat.
Yep.
It's got the long range feel to it, but it's still in that 65 foot package, which is perfect for charters.
Yeah, it's awesome.
18 to 20 people on here for a 2-day, no problem.
Yeah. Awesome stuff, man. And it does have that long range feel to it.
And recently repowered. So we've been doing a lot of work to the boat here over the last couple of years, just retrofitting things. We've gone through a lot of the electrical on this boat and just cleaned things up. New sonar, new radar, a lot of new electronics up here. Last year we did a complete retrofit in our engine room. So, you know, we have a brand new 50-gallon-hour water maker, so we can on longer trips we can convert salt water to fresh water and top off our tanks. Brand new Cummins engines, brand new generators. We have two auxiliary generators, 2 main engines. Redid our fuel system, redid everything in this engine room. So put a lot of time, a lot of money into it. It's still got a little ways to go, but we've been chipping away at this boat pretty good the last few years.
Guys downstairs, I just saw guys jumping in the shower, man. You get a nice shower on here.
Hot shower. Great. Got a brand new water heater down there. Yeah, it was a complete and total redo in the engine room this year. It took a little bit out of me. We got it done.
I remember. Yeah. I was down in the office, 22nd Street a lot, and you were putting in, I don't know what it was, 14-hour days.
A lot of long days. Yeah. And kudos and shout out to everybody who helped me in that project. Sam Patella was a big help.
Yes. Hey, Sam.
Dean helped me out, our Dean up there at 22nd Street, and my good friend Vince Trino, he helped me out a lot on here doing this repower. And Mike Doherty for supplying the engines and everything. But all those guys, I couldn't have done it without them.
So if somebody wants to book, do they call the landings or do they call you, or what's the best way? They want to talk to somebody about a charter.
Lori handles everything. My wife handles all
She's friggin' awesome, by the way.
She's got
Lori needs to do a podcast with me.
She needs to do a podcast with Phil. We've already set that up.
Yeah, you're done, Lori.
So she answers the phones and handles all the books. So she's already filling up all our 25 schedule.
Yeah.
So she interacts with our charter groups. They all like her. She speaks the language, you know. Yep. She comes from this background and she understands it. So you talk to Lori. You can look at our website, apollocharters.com. Our online calendar is actually there, so you can go month by month and see what dates are available. So we try to retain the same dates for everybody for the following seasons. So if you have 2 or 3 dates with us this year, we'll try to maintain those same dates for the following year. You'll have first options. And then any gaps we have in there or groups that can't commit, then we start filtering in like new groups and stuff like that. But yeah, apollocharters.com. You can look up our calendar. There's a lot of information about the boat. Lori's number is there as well. And you get a direct line right to her, and she'll take care of everything for you.
Perfect. This is just another chapter in our 35-year friendship, man.
It's another chapter, and yeah, it's been a good run, Phil. You've been a good friend, and we've had a lot of fun trips together. It's been a career, man. This is probably be the last boat I'm going to be involved in. As a lot of people know, we moved out of state this year and kind of got a fresh start on that. We bought a beautiful house out of state, and we're really enjoying that and kind of starting the next chapter of life. But we're here, man. We're booked. We're going to be doing this for a while, and hopefully we got many more trips to come.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make it another 35 years, but I'll try.
I don't think I'll be here 35 more years, but I got a few left in me.
Well, I'll not only see you a little bit later this year, we're talking about maybe a trip out of 22nd Street on the Apollo next year for sure. And I'm going to take you up on that offer about going up to Utah one of these days.
Come up to Utah in the winter, hang out, go play in the snow. Yeah, we're talking about some sponsored trips maybe this fall at 22nd Street and see how that goes. Yeah. We get some interest. A lot of these guys like to fish the boat. So
perfect. Yeah. Jeff, thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil. Great having you guys.
Great to see you again.